I was just in the office.
It was a complete wedge of bricks that had come down from the wall.
It was like a bomb had gone off, you know.
I felt I needed to get out there with a camera. You know, that's the professional, you know, thinking that I've got a camera. So I felt it was my duty to go out, really.
Nearly 5 years on, empty sites, broken buildings and roadworks remain as evidence of the 6.3 earthquake that shook Christchurch, as do the stories and images collected by media documenting the devastating reality of what took place. Journalists often tell the stories of misfortune, but how do those behind the camera cope after covering a disaster?
Yeah, it's hard to explain it because you don't really. You're just doing you're just doing your job. You know, you're almost. I wouldn't call it automatic because you're very aware of your surroundings, and it's a very big story. It's a very powerful story, but it's just another story. And you're a cameraman. That's your job. And you just go and do your job. When it finished, it was absolutely silent. There was nothing. There wasn't a soul. Then I saw a couple of ladies who were sort of pointing, and sort of nothing was coming out. They were trying to talk, and they were sort of going. And I thought, great shot. Yeah, magnificent shot. Really, all the sort of real tension.
Vivid memories hard to forget.
The poor boy in Iconic, him and his sister had run out, and he got the whole lot of the facade. He was dead, and his sister was covered in blood. And I knew her, so she didn't really like me filming her, but I did. So.
Here's Ron filming on the corner of Gloucester and Manchester Streets during an aftershock. This footage was captured by TVNZ cameraman James Marshall, who made the decision to record the history of that day.
You know, there was people helping or attempting to get people out of crushed cars, and there were other people lifting masonry out of the way or off people, and I thought to myself, should I be helping or should I be filming this? So that was a reasonably quick battle I had with myself, and I just came to I came quickly to the prospect that it was my job.
What goes through your mind as you make that decision?
I don't know if you can ever be prepared for it, you know, or if you can ever get used to it. I wouldn't want to get used to it. You know, you're looking at it through a black and white viewfinder, so you kind of concentrate on different things. Now, you know, having experienced a lot of tragedy and a lot of bits and pieces, I'm better geared to go into those situations.
What would you like the public to know about what you have to go through to get these disaster images?
I'd like them to know we do it as respectfully as we can. You know, it's not that we enjoy doing it, it's that we are tasked with doing it.
It's a view echoed by a former film and television shooter who says there isn't a formula for media covering a crisis.
I think the news reporters were the ones who really, you know, got out there and did it, but I don't know how it was for them. I mean, I was at the triage centre, for example, in Latimer Square, and there were people who were clearly dead, and there were other people who were covered in cloth, and they had several people working on them at any one time. I didn't exactly get a reaction from anyone to say you shouldn't be here, but I felt as if I shouldn't be here capturing these things. There is a certain detachment that every profession puts in place in order to insulate them from the job.
But an expert says having a double personality to get through a disaster can be unhealthy.
You can't defer emotions for too long. Otherwise you get into this what's called disassociation, where you're almost out of kilter with your real person. And you learn to almost put on a facade.
She says members of the media can develop mental health issues if they don't acknowledge the unpleasant feelings, but personal emotions shouldn't interfere with the job.
For the journalists, you do have to, I think, maintain that personal distance. Just as I say to my students, don't ever touch a victim. You can show your empathy if they're upset, somebody is crying or upset, you can just say, it's okay, take some time, I'm here, you know, just sit back, don't try and force yourself on them by saying, oh, I know how you feel, because you do not, you will never know how that person feels.
Disaster stories like the Christchurch Earthquakes and recent events such as the refugee crisis and terrorist attacks are now a part of the daily news staple, and the media have the job of sharing these tragic stories with the rest of the world.
It does affect people, there's no doubt about it.
Can't argue with those pictures and say, oh no, it's not very bad.
Anything that I went through or that any filmmaker went through seems to pall into insignificance when you think of that man, that Iranian man, I think, whose wife was in the building, and he's talking to her till her battery went flat. You know, it's like, and he is saying to people right at the time, help me, dig there, she's over here. You know, he was trying to indicate where she was in the building. Nothing can prepare you for that.